I do really believe 100% from every part of me that everyone has the capacity to be able to do the things that they want and not to be held back by the mental baggage that's in our head that we want to push through.
Welcome to the Do the Thing podcast. In each episode, we get down and personal with people who go after the things they want to make all their wildest dreams come true. Join us as we unveil and dissect a formula for what it takes to do the thing. Here is your host, Stacey Lauren.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Do the Thing podcast. This is your host, Stacey Lauren. So you guys have probably met a few people from this amazing experience that I had already, and I am just so excited to be able to get to know new people that are just doing extraordinary things. And so I met our next guest at an investment mastermind group that I recently joined, and we went to the event, and he just, you know, those people that you meet and you could just tell how genuine they are and brilliant with the things that they're able to do and tackle. And I just really got that impression from just even the interactions that we've had when we got to meet. And it's really exciting to get to talk to someone that's actually done a really cool thing multiple times. And now he helps other people do the thing with the business that he's doing now. And I just recently started working with him in his business that he's doing now, which I'm really excited about as well. So I'm so excited to welcome Jeff to the show. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Stacey, I'm so excited to be on, and that was a very flattering introduction. I should have you follow me around everywhere because that was overstating it, but I appreciate it.
You just seem so, I feel like you just genuinely want people to succeed. There's just this way, and maybe it's because you've already had such success and you know what it takes to do it. And so there's just something about you that just makes me just feel like you're striving and rooting for so many people.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, yeah, I'm not sure where that comes from, but yeah, I guess it takes people. There's a lot of people that help me along the way. I think that's probably a big part of it. And it's not been all ups and successes. There's been a lot of downs and challenging periods and all that. And people have always helped along the way. And you never know who it might be, whether it's a big mentor, whether it's just a friend or whoever it might be. They can all play a big role. And so I try my best to just kind of do the same and try to help people or connect with people and be a resource however I can.
Yeah, I think it helps when you've seen it happen for you and then you know what it's meant for you. And then it just kind of now comes naturally from you intrinsically for somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would totally agree.
So that leads us into my next question, which is I would love for you to share more about you and your story for the listeners so they can kind of hear all the cool things you're up to and you've done.
Yeah, it sounds good. Well, people know me as the Amazon person, but back in the day, actually, in high school, I grew up and I was always interested in, my dad was an entrepreneur, so I saw him with like medical device companies and saw ups and downs, but I liked the freedom that he had. And so I was on entrepreneur type lists with guys like Frank Kern and John Reese and some of those guys in sort of the early 2000s. And I was always interested in buying courses and interested in business ideas. And I knew I maybe wanted to start my own business one day, but never really pulled the trigger. I was sort of one of those people that never really took action. I would kind of buy a $100 ebook or course or whatever, and then just to get the knowledge, but I was a little too scared or whatever, for whatever reason, just never really followed through. And then I went to college at Cal Poly in California. And then from there, I ended up getting a good, safe job out of college up in San Francisco, doing healthcare consulting. We were basically auditing healthcare medical bills. So it was really boring, but it was a really awesome company, 300-person company, very young, a great first job out of college where I had to live on my own, pay my own rent, and really make a good friend network. So I actually stayed there for about 4 years, but that was about 2014 when the Amazon opportunity started coming up and people started selling courses about how to sell and launch products on Amazon. And so that was where I started, where I bought a course. I think it was like $3,500, which was a lot of money to me at the time, but I bought it. It was the most expensive course I'd ever bought. And I just went for it. And it took me a while to go through it. It took over, I think, 6 months before I even chose my first product. I was slower than a lot of people in the group. I have kind of sometimes analysis paralysis and want it to be perfect. And which can be a real downfall or may lead to never getting to taking action and just doing it, right? Like you talk about on the podcast. But luckily, I did it because I just knew I was like, I'm young enough that I just got to go for it and take a risk. And even if I fail at it, I'm going to be okay. And so I ended up choosing a puppy pee pad is what my very first product was. I had a whole spreadsheet of like 50 products, and out of everything under the sun, I chose puppy training pee pads, which is the least sexy, cool product to tell people about. And I bought a 20-foot container of it for like 15 grand from China and had it shipped. I didn't even know what I was doing. I didn't even know if they would even ship me the product or just keep my bank wire. I didn't really know. But luckily they shipped the product and then ended up being in business and selling my first product on Amazon. And I remember getting the first sale on Amazon. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, this is real. It was so cool. It was just a $20 order or whatever it was. And I was just so excited, over the moon. I almost started crying. I was so excited. So yeah, that was kind of where it started. And then just kind of went through the Amazon marketing and living and breathing that and trying to do that basically weekends and nights. I still had my day job for working 9 to 5 or even longer than that. And so then launched a few more products, launched some products that failed and didn't go anywhere, and then launched a baby brand as well. And so all of a sudden I had a bunch of products. And about a year after that, after starting, I think I reached maybe 12 or 15 grand a month in gross revenue, which that's not profit, that's just top line revenue. And I didn't even really know my numbers at the time I didn't know how important the bottom line numbers were in cash flow. But I was like, oh, that's pretty good. I feel like I could, if I just focus, I'm only focusing on this business. It was probably 5 to 10 hours a week. What if I did 40 to 60 hours a week? And so I decided to make that leap and quit my job, put it in my 2 weeks notice and went all in, and then started my own full-time business and started expanding the team and all that good stuff. So that was sort of where it got to, where I actually started with my own brand before the Amazon agency. And I'll just pause there. There's more of how it got to the agency part, but I'll just pause there in case you have any questions that I don't want to just talk for the whole time.
Yeah, no, thank you. I know this is so cool because I love the words that you use too, with seeing your dad, right, have this business and then kind of seeing him do that. So you had the desire from getting to see someone that was doing something that you wanted to do, but then you tried different things. And then I love the word you use with never pulling the trigger, because I think so many people can do that. They can get programs and either do them or not do them. But then, like you said, want to stay safe, right? Because it is scary to try something new. Then when you took that job after you graduated Cal Poly, that's when Amazon started to go. And that's when you got the course. I'm wondering, with the course that you took, number one, how did this change for you? How was this the thing that you were able to finally pull the trigger on?
It's a good question. I guess I had maybe taken enough courses or books or emails or webinars where I didn't pull the trigger, where I guess I just sort of reached a point where kind of the level of frustration builds in myself, where I wasn't exactly rock bottom. I mean, I had a good job and was living a good life in San Francisco, but I feel like you do that enough times and then you start realizing, hey, now I'm 24 years old or 25 years old and I still haven't done anything. I still haven't tried anything. At the end of the day, I think one of the exercises that I did, most people have heard of Tim Ferriss. I think in his 4-Hour Work Week book, I think when I read that book, there's an exercise in there that was called fear setting exercise. I believe you could Google that. And basically what he described was you detail out whatever you're worried about or scared of, or, you're afraid of taking the big leap towards something. It can be anything. It can be a relationship. It could be a business, whatever. Really define what is the actual worst case scenario that would happen if everything went wrong, right? And really spell it out. So it was like, okay, I went through that exercise and what I learned was, okay, well, let's say I wire the money to the supplier and they steal my money and don't ship me any product. Okay, well, I just lost 20 grand there. So maybe I could give up then, or maybe I'd try one more product or learn something and do one more. And let's say I do buy the product and it doesn't sell and I'm stuck with this inventory and I end up losing another 10 grand. At least I tried. But what's the worst case that happens is it's easier when you're younger, I think, but you can still do it at any age. I truly believe that. But even if I have to go move back in with my parents, they would take me in for as many months as I needed it to give me free rent and let me get back on my feet, right? Or I could stay on friends' couches, or I could go back to that company that I quit and I could ask them for a job, or I could obviously apply for any other job. And so when I really spelled that out, the fear was so reduced at that point because I realized that's really not that bad. It's what, you lose 25 grand in 9 months of time, but at least I tried. At least I stepped in the ring and went for a round and saw what happened. Maybe I got knocked out, but at least I tried because I didn't want to live a life of regret where I just ended up working that 9 to 5, which turns into 20 years, 30 years. And then you never really got that life of freedom that you hope to get as an entrepreneur and business owner. So anyways, I think that's maybe what helped me follow through and take action because I didn't want to live a life of regret at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm wondering, because being that young and having that something like that compelling you, that living a life of regret, did you see people at that job you were working at and were like, oh, I don't want to be like them? Or was there anything, do you think, that you saw that got you to recognize that?
That's a good question. I looked at the lives of some of the people, I guess, that were at that company. I mean, they live good lives and comfortable, but at the end of the day, they still got to come in and they have limited PTO, paid time off. And even though they're at the top of the company, right? And so I think that's part of it was just seeing that. And I don't know, but I mean, I've always kind of studied personal development and I think Tony Robbins talks about it a lot, some sort of wheelchair exercise or whatever he calls it, where you are, imagine, put yourself thinking as if you're 80 years old or a really old age and looking back at your life and be like, wasn't I happy with my decisions and what would I have done different? And so I think maybe some of those exercises maybe instilled in me that I needed to at least go for it at some point in my life whenever I saw the opportunity that felt right. And this Amazon opportunity felt right because it just felt like it suited me, I guess.
I just recently came back from vacation in Europe and I have been struggling to get back to my exercise routine. And I pretty much was like, okay, you need to what if tomorrow you couldn't exercise? You'd really want to exercise. So just making that shift to be able to.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta put yourself in those sort of exercises, mental exercises, and get the reasons and the desire to do it, and that will be enough to get you to take action and follow through, even though it may be painful steps ahead.
And I love that idea of the fear setting exercise because I talk about this a lot on the podcast. Once you kind of know what the risk is, then you're certain, right? Fear comes from uncertainty. It's when you don't know. But once you see, okay, this is the worst thing that's going to happen, it really does open the door for new things.
Yeah, for sure. I think there might be some fear setting exercises where you do that and you're like, oh, that is actually a really justifiable large fear. Maybe I shouldn't do that. I'm sure that jumping out of a plane into an ocean full of great white sharks as a stunt for TV, if I did that exercise, yeah, I would probably decide that's not worth it, right? That is a justifiable fear and I don't want to take that action. But fortunately for me, as far as whether I should quit my job and launch my Amazon business, that was the choice that was right for me.
And I had one more question on this and we can move forward to what you're doing now. But so when you spent the money, the $3,500 for the course, you still could have decided not to do it, right? And you could have also started it and not finished it. And you could have started and not finished it and then not started I love the puppy pee pad first product that you did. And so what do you think really, was it the money? What was it, this regret? What was it that got you to keep going with it and then to actually get your first product?
That's a good question. I think part of it, I kind of mentioned before, where I not followed through on so many things before that I was like, I just got to go for this one. This one makes sense. Also, the course was very, very good. It was a very professionally done course. There was a lot of testimonials and it seemed real. They had a live event part. And when I went to that live event and I met other people who were doing it, I met people that were selling $200,000 a month on Amazon. I think that really made it real and gave me some of that confidence that I needed. Like, this is not some sort of Ponzi scheme or fake course or money grab. I saw these normal people that had normal jobs and were in the same position as me, but they took action and they were killing it, selling their product brands online. And I was like, okay, I think that really helped me just go for it.
Yeah, it's so huge, right? Because then you get to see what's possible. And then I was just talking to someone yesterday in an interview and I loved the words she said. She said, It's almost like you got to see that these people that were doing successful things don't have special superpowers. They're just normal people like you. And then you all of a sudden are like, well, why couldn't I do that too?
Yeah, that's a great point. And you and I both know Ryan Moran now. I felt that way about him, right? He was this super uber successful person, which he is. But then you meet him and you realize like, wow, he's just a normal dude that drinks beer and just is a really nice, genuine person. And so like you meet people like that, you're like, okay, yeah. So maybe that gives you the confidence that why can't I do that? Or even half of that I would be happy with.
Totally. Okay, cool. So now we get to move on with your story. So you just quit your job and you're full-time into Amazon. And then what happened? Did you scale the pet brand and you kind of kept going with that?
Yeah. So it started slowly scaling the pet brand. And then my sister gave me an idea that, hey, you're this car seat cover product for dogs. Can I use that for my kids? Because that would be great for catching Cheerios and toys and milk spills and all that. And then so I gave her that. And she's like, yeah, if you tweak this actually could be a really good product. So she gave me that idea. So then I launched a baby brand all around that. And then launched another, partnered with my friend's dad on a dog toy. And so launched that with him, Kickstarter, Shopify, Amazon. And then around that same time, maybe a year later, my buddy from college, he started a sunglasses brand that was doing really well on Kickstarter and Shopify, but they were really struggling on Amazon. And so they said, hey, Jeff, I see you're killing it with these puppy pee pads. They're like, but our product's way cooler than yours. Can you help us, give us some tips, or can we pay you to manage it for us? We don't even want to learn Amazon. It's just a pain in the butt for us. And so I was like, sure, I guess. They're like, what do you charge? I was like, I don't know. What do you want to pay me? They're like, I don't know. How about 10% of the growth? I was like, yeah, that sounds great. I was just excited to work with my friends and ended up growing them from about 5,000 a month in sales. And then in that first year, we did over 6 figures, and now we've sold over $1 million. And they're actually still a client today, which is really, really cool. And so that was about 2016 or so was when I started working with them. It's like a side client. And then they referred a few friends who referred a few friends. And all of a sudden I had 8 consulting clients where I was managing their Amazon business using my team that was also managing my own products. But then I realized, wow, I am now managing 3 of my own brands, 1 partnership, and 8 clients. And all I wanted was my old 9-to-5 job back because I took on too much and I was spread too thin and everything was growing equally slowly. And so I had to make a life decision for me. What do I think would be the best long-term fit for me based on my strengths and how I want my life to look? And so I actually decided I really liked helping other people's brands. I wasn't necessarily a great product inventor. Some people can really come up with really cool product ideas and inventions and patents and things like that. And that just wasn't my skill set. I was really good at the Amazon marketing, the Amazon advertising, the strategies. And so I decided, I'm going to sell my brands and go all in on the Amazon agency. So I sold my brand, had a small to medium exit across the 3 brands and got out of those and picked an actual I didn't have a company name. So we asked my friends and family for ideas on company names and ended up going with turnkey product management, and then started building a team and infrastructure to have an Amazon marketing agency helping other people's brands. And now we've got over 20 team members and we've helped a lot of companies over the years. So it's been a really fun ride.
I love how it started with you just wanting to help your friend. I just think it's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, I got to give it to those guys. They never asked. I maybe never would have stumbled upon this. It's pretty crazy how life works sometimes.
Do you feel like you're really living in your purpose now because you're making such a contribution to other people and their lives pretty much by being able to help them scale their businesses?
I think so. I definitely feel a lot more purposeful than I was when I was super spread thin or just at my 9-to-5. It is cool when we see some of our clients that I'll sometimes meet at an event, or like I met you at an event, and some of these people, we just started as friends and then we start learning more about each other, and then they're usually at a smaller place, obviously. And then as they grow, then we start working together. And then it's really cool to see. And
What have you noticed with the people that you're helping with their brands? Because they're all people that are doing the thing, right? Where they built this brand, they got it to a certain level to be able to use a service like yours. Have you noticed any patterns with the people that you're working with?
that's a great question. Yeah, I would say there's definitely some similarities. I mean, our best clients, they're definitely they're good people. Like we're pretty selective with who we work with. We try to avoid working with people who are jerks or rude or things like that. They all tend to be positive, good people that are doing things the right way. They also work really hard. That's a commonality for sure. And another thing is they tend to know that they can't do it alone. People that build the really big businesses that I've seen where they're multi-million-dollar a year businesses and beyond, they don't do it alone as a one-man or one-woman shop. They know the power of building teams, and you could build a team partially internally. You can do it externally, hiring agencies and contractors for certain things, but they definitely are good at delegation and being a leader and trying to set the vision, but then let other people come in and help work together to accomplish a bigger goal together.
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that. I did think about it in this way, but one of the pieces of the do the thing formula is educate. When under educate, it's being able to ask for help, right? And I think that's kind of what you're speaking to, that they see themselves maybe not as the expert at that thing. So they're reaching out to someone that is, where someone that might be more rigid, they're dying with the house or whatever, might not be as open to opening themselves up to say, no, I do need help with this. And then that's where you're able to make it this really huge thing.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a great point that they're also learners. I think that's a big one. That they're usually listening to podcasts or listening to audiobooks or reading books and open to listening to other people when they have a trusted friend or mentor or coach that says, hey, I think you need to hire this person or marketing agency or whatever. They're open to testing those things, take those risks, right? Because there's definitely some risks to that. It doesn't work out every time. I've hired a bunch of people over the years, probably over 40 people or so at least. And I've also had to fire at least 5 or 6 people, which is not a fun experience. So there's upsides and downsides to all of it, but sometimes you just have to go through those things if you really want to try to build a bigger business, a bigger life, and have freedom. You can't do it all yourself.
Do you have a favorite mindset technique to help you when things are the hardest?
I really try to meditate at least once a day, but typically twice a day, once in the morning, once before dinner, typically. That just kind of helps bring me back to the present, even if I'm super overwhelmed or there's a lot going on. Meditation definitely helps. And I think just trying to catch yourself, having the awareness, and that's where meditation can kind of help teach that as well, is catching yourself when you get into those spirals, when you feel really overwhelmed, when you feel stressed and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even feel like getting out of bed today. There's so much going on. I don't even want to deal with it. Sometimes when you get those spirals, it's important to kind of just try to catch it and be like, okay, what's going on? I'm overwhelmed. What do I need to do? Maybe I should go for a walk. Maybe I should meditate. Maybe I should go exercise, do a hard workout, take a shower, come back to it fresh. And then just realize you can't do everything in a day. So it's just about prioritizing. And so coming back to that and just being like, okay, what are the 1, 2, or 3 things that I can do today that I have to do that would help release some of that stress? Those are just a few tips, because I definitely get in those ruts sometimes. You just try to get out of it and have a positive attitude and focus on what you can control. That typically works pretty well, but definitely haven't mastered it fully, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I love that you kind of led right into goals with that 1 to 2, 3 things that I can do today to be able to move the needle. I'm curious, how do you handle goals? Is that, you mentioned getting into analysis paralysis sometimes, but do you have a certain way that you've noticed that you handle goals?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm the best in the whole world at goals. I don't have like an official process that I go through every quarter or on some strict timeline. Certainly once a year, we try to plan out towards the end of the year, plan out our business goals and plan out personal goals. Also do sort of kind of put those as well. It's like a vision board, but kind of like a PowerPoint, putting the different things of what are my goals for health and what do I want that to look like for my health and my wealth, my business, my relationship, all that good stuff, family, friends. So try to kind of put some things of what does the end goal look like there. I do try to review that every day. So that's really helpful, is just reviewing that. It only takes a couple of minutes to review that. So that really helps because it's like a homing beacon where when I watch that, I'm like, oh, wow, it says I'm supposed to work out 3 times a week minimum. And I'm like, when did I last work out? I can't even remember when that was. So it kind of is a reminder of, oh, okay, I haven't done that. When can I schedule a workout this week? How about, looks like tomorrow after work, I definitely have a window. I'll go play basketball or whatever. So reviewing that, it seems simple, but it constantly is course correcting me to get closer to what I put on those slides. It's like a slide deck vision board. So that kind of helps me. And I try to break it up into milestones and delegate to other people when possible, because I don't like to do everything myself. So yeah, hopefully that's a little bit.
Yeah, I love the idea of the homing beacon. I think that's such a good visual, because if you don't put out what you want, then how are you really going to get there?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I just think it's a lot of people maybe make a New Year's resolution at the very beginning of the year. Maybe they write down on paper a few goals. That's better than nothing. I mean, you definitely start there, but I think you can actually review it. It doesn't need to be every day, but the more you review it, the more likely you are to stay the course and stay on track. So it's just like building that small habit in and scheduling it. That's part of my morning routine. Before I even open my emails and open everything that I got to do today, I've got a bit of a morning routine, and that's definitely one of the steps.
And then as far as accountability, so is that also leading into how you hold yourself accountable, is by you reviewing them in the morning before you do anything else? Or do you have another way in addition to that sort of keeps you accountable doing the things you want to do?
Yeah, part of it is, maybe it sounds sort of crazy or anal, but I have a tracking spreadsheet where I actually track, and I've tracked it for over the last 5 years of here's the things that I got to do each morning, right? And certain things, did I do it that day? So for example, did I meditate this day? Yes or no? Did I exercise? Did I take one day off from drinking alcohol and just have a detox day, right? Where I did nothing except healthy water and tea and coffee. And I track, when did I last have that detox day? Did I watch my virtual vision board or mind movie? So I track all those things in a spreadsheet. I also rank my day. How did my day go? 1 to 10. How did I feel about how yesterday went? Was it a good day or was it bad? So some days it's a 3 or a 4, and some days it's a 9 or a 10. And so I track a lot of those things to try to help keep me on track. Yeah, I don't know if it's overkill, but it helps me, because if I don't write it down or do it, then I get sidetracked on different things.
Yeah, my thinking is anytime something's working, it is not overkill. It is exactly what you need to do the thing.
Right. Yeah. So sometimes if I add a new habit, for example, where I want to try to do that, like watching the vision board, that's actually a new thing that I just started this year. And so, yeah, I added it to my little checklist that I fill out every morning, and now it's becoming a habit. And yeah, it's just those simple things can really make a big impact and hold yourself accountable. Like, I don't have necessarily a business or a life coach or whatever. Probably should, but I don't. So try to build those self-accountable mechanisms, and can definitely be helpful.
Do you do any kind of celebration for yourself when you reach certain goals or milestones that you've hit?
I could do a better job of that. Definitely try to recognize the wins. So whatever, if we have a good year or a good month, and definitely try to plan out with my team. If it's a business thing, like, oh, guys, we had a really great quarter. I know it was some tough moments or long working hours. So it's like, okay, let's pay for everyone's meal and have happy hour and paid happy hour or whatever, something like that. On the personal side, yeah, try to celebrate the wins with my wife by going out to a nice dinner or something like that. And sometimes we'll save the cork if it was a really special win, landing a big client or something like that, or a big win for a client. Sometimes we'll try to memorialize those sort of things. But yeah, I think it is important to celebrate those wins along the way, and which I don't always do the best job of, but definitely try to do the best that I can there.
Yeah, I think that's great that you are, for the most part, taking the time to recognize it. But I'm also thinking just you're getting a psychological win when you're getting to check it off on the spreadsheet that you did it. That's the relief in a way.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, definitely. There's a little bit of satisfaction, I think, when I fill it out and then I did all the things that I needed to do. And when I don't do it, then it self-corrects me and says, okay, I got to do it today, or I got to schedule that so I don't miss it tomorrow. So definitely helps. But yeah, if you don't schedule those things, like you said, and I could do a better job, then you can go a whole 3 months of just grinding and working. And then you don't ever feel like the joy or success of, hey, we accomplished something great, or I did something great. You got to celebrate those, even those small wins, I think is really important, because otherwise you might get to the very end. All you did was hustle, and forgot to have fun along the way.
Yeah. And then we go back to the regret, right?
Right. Exactly.
Full circle. Well, okay, Jeff, the time is here. So what would be your number one piece of advice for the listeners on doing the thing?
Yeah, that's such a big question. I'll say if you're trying to do something big or challenging or life-changing, that seems daunting, right? Like you want to start a business, or you want to lose a bunch of weight, or just something that really feels big and challenging to you. I would really try to, one, look at the why behind it. Okay, maybe do that fear setting exercise that I talked about and realize, why do I want this? Is it worth it? Give yourself big enough reasons to go for it. And then for me, when something seems really big and daunting, it's really helpful to break it up into smaller steps. And you don't need to identify every step of the way. You just need to identify at least 2 to 3 is what I would say, kind of milestones. And I think a really important step is, what can I do today? Not tomorrow, not next week, but what's something I can do today? It can be the smallest thing possible. It doesn't need to be anything big. Maybe it's like, hey, I want to email Stacey. She asked me about that podcast and I've been putting it off. I'm just going to email Stacey and say, hey, can we still do that podcast or whatever? If that was my goal. Just what's one small thing you can do that jumpstarts the momentum towards that goal? Because you just need to start taking action. And I guess the other bonus tip would be, the more steps towards that goal that you can delegate to someone else and involve other people, so it's not you doing it all alone, that will give you accountability, and it will also give you help. I think that can really, really help you accomplish bigger things, because you can't, in my opinion, it's just a lot easier to accomplish big things with other people along the way. Don't do it alone.
That's such good advice. I think because so many people think you need to have every step figured out, but it's just, what's one thing, no matter how small, just to keep the momentum going. I think it's so powerful.
Yep. I think it's everything you preach on your podcast.
Totally. And it's great. And I love the way you were able to articulate it too, which is really good. Okay. Well, please share it with people on how they can learn more about you, and then also who you are able to help. So if someone is listening that has a brand that might want to work with you, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Jeff Lieber, Lieber. Feel free to connect with me there. Love talking with people. Just shoot me a message. And then, yeah, our company's turnkey product management. We basically help physical product brands to grow, and we can launch you from scratch on Amazon if you've got a brand in mind or a brand that you're working on. Or if you're already on Amazon, we can help you optimize and grow it from there. So we can help both. But yeah, at our website, we've got tons of free resources if you're interested about learning about Amazon or strategies to grow. There's lots of free resources on there for you to learn more about, and that's where you can contact us as well. So turnkeyproductmanagement.com/resources, I believe, is the page that has lots of free stuff if you were interested in the Amazon topic. But yeah, just want to say thank you, Stacey. It was so fun hanging out with you, and you're such a great interviewer. So I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad that you were able to do this with me. It was really great. And I'm really excited to be working with you also. So I'm just looking forward to all the good things to come.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you so much. It was fun.
Thanks for listening to the Do the Thing podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, but even more, we hope you'll be inspired to do the thing. Do you have a burning question on doing the thing that you'd like answered? How about an inspiring do the thing story of your own that you'd like to share? We'd love to hear all about it. Just leave us a voice message at dothething.callcast.co or email us at hello@dothethingpodcast.com.